You're listening to the Get Out and Drive podcast with John CustomCarNerd Meyer and Jason OldeCarrGuy Carr. We'll be bringing you gearheads everything you never wanted to know about cars and why they should be on the road and not in your garage. Are you ready to get out and drive?
This episode is going to be a little different. As you get out and drive to car shows and cruise-ins this summer, we're going to bring you all the best interviews that we did a while back while we were at car shows in 2023. John, why don't you give us an introduction to the first interview?
Well, in 2023, my wife Joanne and I made a trip to the Custom Car Revival in Indianapolis. It is, other than KKOA, it is the spot for true, I would probably say 64 and earlier, custom cars. Everything you're going to see there is a custom vehicle, and they're very, very strict about their show.
Nice. I wish I could have made it. And, it's one thing that I will be on my bucket list to make sure we check out in the future for sure.
Oh, definitely. And what was cool is we made the trip with our friends Kurt and Amy McCormick with a very special car in tow. For those of you who don't know, Kurt is the absolute go-to when you ask anybody about George Barris or Barris brothers, Sam and George, history. He is an avid collector of everything Barris, and I can say everything Barris will put a line in the sand at pre-Batmobile. Everything Barris. I mean, he has everything, pictures and handwritings and parking tickets and all sorts of things that you never, ever, ever thought anyone would want to keep. Kurt has in a book about, and he keeps a very detailed log about the history and customizing of every one of his cars.
So let's get into the interview.
Well, very good. We came out to Custom Car Revival 2023. Mm-hmm. We made it. No troubles, no craziness, no nothing.
Yeah, no mishaps.
We're stuck here because it's raining. I don't feel like driving home in the rain, right?
Right, I understand.
That sounds pretty silly. So we're here at an empty hotel hanging out.
We do have the place to ourselves, which is very convenient.
It's very convenient and very quiet. I see the tents and everything are still set up outside. So we saw a ton of cool stuff yesterday. I know you didn't get to walk around a lot. I know there was a lot of people that you saw and things. You see any cars that drive by that stuck out?
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff went by that I was able to see.
Yeah.
There was a Lincoln Zephyr convertible that caught my eye.
Okay.
I'm told that it was a big award winner here last year.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. I wasn't here.
Okay.
But it was a smoke gray and charcoal. It was two-tone convertible, low chopped. It was magnificent.
Yeah, it had like a yellow beltline pinstripe on it, I think, or orange or something.
Yes.
Cheese whiz color.
Yes.
Yep. That was a neat car. The paint was phenomenal on that car.
It had a profile that was just
That's absolutely perfect.
It's perfect.
Well, I know, and you know, but maybe they don't know. What did you bring this year?
We brought a 1938 Ford Coupe. Mm-hmm. It's a real early Barris custom that was built in 1946 when the Barris brothers were just getting started.
Okay.
They had just opened their shop, and it was kind of amateur hour,
Sure.
They were still getting the lay of the land and learning their trade.
Sure.
But they built this car for a man named Dick Fowler. The Barris brothers chopped it, put in a 41 Packard grill, seal beam conversions, and lowered it. Sunken license plate in the back, two teardrop taillights, and general dechroming.
Okay.
And that was about it. There's no evidence that it ever had a finished interior in it. But the outside looked pretty good, and it is kind of a scarce car in that there's very little documentation from the early days. There's only 4 pictures of it from the 40s.
Wow. So there's never been any real color pictures of the car ever?
No, never. And, it's, like I said, 4 pictures. 2 of them, the car was black, and 2 of them, the car was white primer. And all the pictures were taken outside of the Barris shop. That's pretty much all we know as far as photographic evidence is concerned. The car disappears for 30 years and it shows up many years later, like in the late 70s or up into the 80s somewhere. It showed up at a yard sale, a garage sale.
A garage sale.
Yes.
Wouldn't you love to trip over something? You trip over a Barris car, much less the earliest as we know, Barris car. You trip over at a garage sale. The garage sales I go to don't have any of that.
I could have saved a bundle if I'd found it. But the guy that did find it didn't have the cash to buy it at the time. But 2 years later, his parents are out yard sailing again, and they went to the same piece of property. The car was still there. So his parents bought it, and they drug it home. Well, turns out that this guy that tried to buy it in the first place couldn't afford it. Is Axel Izzardi.
Okay.
And he's very much involved with the Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona. So he and his friend Kevin Sledge recognized the car as, an early car. It had been pictured in one or two real magazines. So they picked up on it and figured out what it was. And Axel took it home and sat on it for a while. And in 2011, there was at the Grand National Roadster Show, one building was dedicated to early custom cars, traditional customs. And Axel was in charge of that. So he freshened up this 38 Ford Coupe that he had. And since it was a historically significant custom car, he brought it to this event and put it on display. It looked pretty good. And
It wasn't running at the time, though, right?
No.
Because I thought you said they pushed it in. It was not a finished car.
Yeah, no interior, no drive line. It
Okay.
was just sheet metal.
Yeah.
But it showed pretty well, and I like the look of it.
Now, you had cars there that year, right?
I did. I had 3 of them in the show, and that's how I happened to be there and see it. After a year or two of batting it around, we finally got around to it, and I bought it from him. And that was the beginning of a 7-year restoration.
Wow. 7 years, a long road for that car.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have pictures of what it looked like when Axel got it?
There's a few.
Because I didn't know what color primer it was in. It was in gray, or how the length it was finished.
It was still in white primer after all these years. It still had that old white primer.
So of what you would think that the car was left pretty much as almost like the final picture. It was taken of what you said around 47.
Yes.
So you think the car did not progress at all until he found it. The car was just stored, but you don't know with who.
There was nothing changed on it.
Wow.
Which is a good thing.
Okay.
Because if it had fallen into the wrong hands, it might have wound up a drag car. Or, it might have been all cut up and made into something.
I just open up the side doors, we'll make it into a round circle track car.
It happens.
I know. That's what we talked about a lot. We lost a lot of 38 Fords.
38 Fords were popular.
Very popular.
For stock cars. Because they were unattractive in stock form. So people thought.
Sure.
Anyhow.
So you've got the car in your hands, and that's about what year? You said around 2012, 13?
About 10 years ago.
Okay.
So 13.
Okay.
13.
And it got the start of the restoration. And I know during the restoration, when it was stripped, a lot of metal was replaced on the car. Kind of talk us through that.
Okay. The car, when I bought it and brought it home, it was still in its white primer from the Roadster Show, and it looked okay. Well, I had the chassis done on the car. I gave it to a friend of mine, Gary Finney, and he had it for a couple of years maybe, and he did all the mechanicals, the chassis work, driveline, electrical, suspension and everything, rear end conversion, did all the heavy lifting on the car.
Sure.
And got the car where it would run and drive.
Okay.
And then...
and what driveline was in it at the time? Because I thought you had told me that it was set up for a specific engine when you had gotten it from Axel.
It was set up for Chevy.
Okay.
But there was no driveline in it.
Sure.
Since it was set up for it, that's what I went with. I bought a 350 crate motor and a 350 turbo and a 9-inch Ford rear end with parallel leaves.
Okay.
Put all that in it. And Gary Finney took care of that. And then I brought it from Gary Finney's house, mechanically done, but the body was untouched. And I then brought it, coincidentally, to your shop.
That is true.
And you, my guy, did some work on it, including stripping it to bare metal and showing us all the surprises that was underneath all that mud and paint.
That is true.
John, even though I couldn't be at Custom Car Revival, like in my mind, I can't imagine being in charge of this particular build. How terrifying was it to have this thing in tow and be responsible for getting it to this place unscathed?
Well, it's a big deal because it's a one of a kind. Well, it's customized. It's a one of a kind car. It is the oldest Barris built car on the planet. 1938 Ford Coupe, and it is the Dick Fowler Coupe. It is the oldest car that has been found. There's probably going to be something else out there, but right now that's the oldest car found that was worked on by the Barris brothers.
One of one.
One of one. Very Westergaard influenced because they were underneath Harry Westergaard, learning a lot about him, the speedboat stance and skirts, smooth hood sides, to the chop. Everything on the car is very, very elegant. In my eyes, it needs to stay this way, but it is a pre-white wall custom. Car does not have white walls on it, has black walls. It needs to stay that way, being a pre-war build.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about it, so let's listen in.
Now I know you said 1947. Roundabout George and Sam, how old were they when they were working on this car? I'm not good at math, so I know.
I don't know, they were young then, certainly.
18, 20-ish?
George, yeah, I would say late teens to early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
And that kind of
just
sets the
company
time
in car.
frame for the quality of the work that they're going to do.
Yeah, George had opened a little shop and was just getting started. And shortly after he opened his doors, Sam came back from the service, World War II in 1946. And my car was built in 46. So this has to be one of the very earliest cars. And there's a lot of amateurish work on it that demonstrated that. But it's okay, everybody has to start somewhere.
Right.
So that was an interesting example of that.
Now, were they studying under Harry Westergaard at the time, or that's a little bit later?
No, that was much earlier, actually, before
Okay.
the war.
Okay, because I'm setting a time frame for the car because you say it's their first one and they have to learn from somebody.
No, I don't know if it was their first car.
Okay.
But it was among the very
Among the very,
earliest
very-
ones.
okay.
It's certainly the earliest surviving example
Understood.
of a Barris car. Where was it?
But they were studying under Westergaard.
Harry Westergaard. They apprenticed. They hung around Harry Westergaard's shop and learned what they could
Okay.
before the war. So they were in it really early.
Wow.
And
Because I saw one of the earliest cars of George's was his 36 Roadster.
yes.
Of the things that I know about, and that is something the running boards come off and skirts went on and a little bit of an altitude adjustment, and
The very earliest cars that he did, and including the one, that 36 that he owned, all looked like they could have been done by Harry Westergaard. The influence was so strong. George was good at borrowing ideas from other people and applying them to his stuff.
Sure.
So my 38 is like that.
Okay.
The grill, the bumpers, the sunken license plate, all these features could have just as easily been done by Harry Westergaard.
Extremely influenced by Harry.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, they were. So anyway,
So I've got the car disassembled and in bare metal. And then we figured out what the game plan was going to be and ended up going to a body shop. Take us from there.
It sat in there for 4 years and got most of the work done. All the metal work was straightened out, and everything was made functional. All the rust and bad metal was all replaced. One man, Wayne Roth, did all of that for 3.5 years. That's all he worked on, and he did a wonderful job.
Incredible metal man. He replaced the sail panels and tops of the driver's door and a lot of pieces.
Bottoms of the driver's door,
Bottom.
the catwalk, the bottom of the window, both, like you said, both sail panels.
Right.
Bottom of the deck lid, the panel between the tail lights, between the back fenders, that had to be replaced. He did it all.
Because that car did not have, on all of your cars that you restore, you put your little Kurt McCormick touches on it because a customizer does what a customizer does. You're very good at putting your mark on the cars. What pieces did you add to this car that weren't, we're going to say true to the car, but part of the original package? What pieces did you decide that are new to the car?
Okay. Externally, the outside of the car, everything is as it should be. It's authentic, except the car was so plain when viewed from the side. It needed a little something. I put 40 Ford side trim on it, and it made a nice difference. On the belt line, it turned out good. It looks like it belongs on the car.
And that's the important part about customizing. Don't customize for sake of change.
That's right.
You add to the car. And that trim on the side of the car will lengthen the car.
Visually,
Lengthen the car. And it's shortened up. It doesn't go all the way up on the hood.
That's right, yeah.
And that's a decision that you made.
Sure. Mechanically, and as far as trim work and upholstery and details on the inside, that's all me.
Right.
The car had not a hint of upholstery in it anywhere when I got it, so I have no idea if it ever had any in it, or if it did, there's no evidence.
Right.
So I made my own choices about materials, colors, patterns, and what got chromed and what got upholstered, and all the decisions to make concerning interior. And
it's wonderful that the car wasn't finished, and it's iconic, but it's also a blank slate for Kurt McCormick.
Yeah, for that part of it.
For that part of it.
Yeah.
And you get to make an iconic mark on the car.
So my choices concerning the interior were to use period colors and period parts, old car parts, nothing modern or new. Everything that's in there is from old cars, which is important.
Kind of a pick an era and stick with it.
Yes.
Kind of almost draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to have anything newer, as if the car was finished then. You're not going to have anything newer than a time period.
Yeah, well, late 40s and early 50s was my time period. So the colors and the patterns, the materials, the carpet, everything, the way it was done and the colors that were picked out were all true to that era. And I like a lot of chrome and bright work on the inside of a car, and that was popular back then. So guys would chrome their inside window moldings, and some of them would chrome the dashboards and other, any metal hardware, heater boxes. So I did all of that. Every piece of metal inside the car on the interior was chromed. Got trim every place, polished stainless steel with chrome plating.
That is a lot of chrome.
It is.
Because you can sit behind the wheel and you can see that dash is like a diamond. It is so bright and wonderful.
It's pretty loud, but it really turned out neat. Everybody seems to like it a lot.
Right.
I love all that plating. And the best thing is the guy that did the interior, the upholstery, his name is Jared Vidicek, and he's the best upholstery man I ever met in my life.
Wow.
And he did an exquisite job, a concours upholstery job in the car. I couldn't be happier. He also upholstered the trunk to match the interior just right.
And again, never, ever finished prior. The trunk is beautiful. The inside of the trunk lid, the finished panels, everything on that car, the tire cover, everything is beautiful on the car.
Well, thank you. It turned out great, but I owe all of that to Jared. He's a
Fantastic
highly
work.
skilled guy, works out of his home, one car at a time. I waited a year for a spot to open up so I could get the trunk done.
Sure.
Yeah, just the trunk. So thanks to him. And also thanks to you. You did a great deal to help me finish the last details on the car.
We had the whole front end out of the car.
Yeah.
We readjusted how the car fit. And again, like you say, customizer, you look at the side of it and the side profile is the key.
Yeah. Stance is everything. So you, well, I didn't do much. You did almost all of it.
But together we got the front of that car where that wheel well sits right inside, right on top of the tire, right where it should be.
Yeah. You rust-proofed and undercoated all the fenders. You replaced that door release cable, and now it works so perfect.
I built a glove box out of a trash can.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
No, I got to tell them. The reproduction people, they make reproduction Ford parts for any old Ford.
Right.
But they don't make a glove box, a replacement glove box for a 38 Ford. Everybody else, you can get one, but not for a 38. We went to a home supply store and found a plastic wastebasket about this high. And in the perimeter, about at the equator of this wastebasket,
Right.
it's a rectangular shape. And if you cut it down just to a certain point, that it just fit in there so perfect. Stick it in from the back.
Right.
You drill 4 holes and you get this perfect glove box. It's completely enclosed. It's black in there.
Right.
And it looks great. And
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing that we made out of a trash can.
yeah, it was so we got about a $6 glove box in there. It just feels good.
Right.
We were very fortunate.
Right. So now the car's finished, and it's obviously for the period, it doesn't have white walls on it. And for good intention, for good reason.
The old pictures of the car show it with no white wall tires on it. It was a black wall car, which was very typical for the era. Right after the war, white walls were almost impossible to get. Tires were hard to get.
Right.
So the car is black and it looks neat with black walls, and it's very authentic. It's true to the appearance of the car as it was in the 40s. So I'm good with it.
And your front hubcaps are real.
Yes, they're authentic single bar flippers, which were very popular in the 40s as an aftermarket accessory. And they were on this car. This is the type of cap they used when the car was first built.
And your wheel has a hint of the interior color.
Yeah.
Just a hint.
Dark metallic green just showing around the trim ring on the outside of the wheels.
And it's so dark that you have to run up and you go, oh, wait, that's not right. That's green. Because you tossed around the idea of before the car was going to be black, you would talk about the car being green.
Yeah, I
And
did.
it was in the works. We definitely talked about it.
We painted the rims green in anticipation of painting the car green.
Okay.
My wife has a little Toyota that has a very nice metallic green on it. So I painted the wheels that color and really liked it. But I talked to a guy after that, Jesse Lopez, who some of the custom people will know. I was able to talk to him on the phone, and he knew Dick Fowler and was familiar with the car.
Actually around that circle of people at that time.
Yeah.
So true firsthand information.
That's it.
Yep.
And I asked him what color it was. He says it was black. So that cinched it. My green wheels are still green and they look fine.
Yeah.
But the car is black, and that's the way it was, and that's the way it still is.
The car turned out absolutely fantastic. I know it's a long road to go, but as you've done with a lot of the other cars that are in your collection, you've built something from nothing or next to nothing. And anybody can use the term and quote it, say, is this worth it? I don't know, but I can tell you the car's finished. It is fantastic, and you've saved another custom.
Yeah. Well, I don't regret it a bit.
Sure.
I'm loving how the car came out, and the fact that it's such an early custom really appeals to me. I love the early cars.
Absolutely beautiful car. You even got an honor of an award here at Custom Car Revival.
Got two of them.
Got two of them. Oh, don't forget. Don't forget. You got two. One of them is not in your hands yet.
Right. That's Gary Miner. Owes me a...
This is Gary's trophy. We're holding it right here. No, we're good, Gary.
He's going to send whatever it is. It's coming in the mail.
Yep.
And we got some sort of appreciation award from Kevin and the bunch, just for participating in the hobby for a long time.
Well, it's wonderful that you can get the car finished, an unbelievably early custom, and have its debut. I mean, no one's ever seen this car before finished.
Nobody saw it.
Right here at Custom Car Revival 2023.
Couldn't be more appropriate. And it was so well received. Man, I felt like Elvis rolled in here when people gathered around the car and were really, very complimentary and kind in their remarks. And, it went on the whole weekend. I had no idea I had so many friends.
You were the superstar. That is sure. That is sure. And you say it all the time, jokingly. You're the caretaker for the car. You're the curator and caretaker for the car. The people come to see Kurt McCormick. People come to see the cars.
Sure.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you very much for what you've done.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. Thank you for all the help you've given me over the years.
Yes, sir.
You're a good friend.
Cool.
Guys, this is just the first part of John's conversation with Kurt McCormick. We'll be bringing you more with Kurt in the future episodes.
And we have interviews with many other people that are keeping the automotive hobby and industry alive. That reminds me, starting July 1st, we'll be releasing all the details for National Get Out and Drive Day 2024.
So be sure to subscribe to the Get Out and Drive podcast and YouTube channel to be the first to know when new episodes drop.
Visit getoutanddrive.com to follow us on all social media platforms, pick up some Get Out and Drive merch, and even more info you never wanted to know about cars.
Go to our Instagram page now and be a part of the conversation about this episode.
Maybe you found a historically significant custom car at a garage sale. If you did, we certainly want to hear about it.
Connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow us on Twitter at Get Out and Drive Pod.
What drives you?